Hello everyone, and welcome to my second Poetry Corner stream. I just now decided to call it Poetry Corner, but this is the second stream where I'm doing the thing I'm doing, so I think I'm justified in calling it the second Poetry Corner stream, even though last time it was just called a poetry reading. I feel like this is becoming already a really nice space where I can share a little bit of my poetry, perform some poetry that's been meaningful to me over the years, and uh, which is really special to my heart, I can feature some of your poetry as well that really speaks to me. So if you're a poet in the audience and or a fiction writer, I've actually got some fiction today, and I think that con- continuing along, I'll want to keep posting short fiction, not posting, reading. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. Had a little bit of an interesting day, and I didn't get to rehearse quite as much as I wanted to of my readings, and I went through a couple of them just now. Hello! How are you? Oh, what's your... Hi, Gloria. It's not, it's, I'm not gonna say it's not middle school tragic, but it's definitely something that's very of an era. It's cute. I'm very glad to see you here. So yeah, I'm just chilling right now, waiting for maybe one or two more people to roll in. Thank you. I don't want to say that I made this because I just put the components together. It's a little pendant. It's a little vintage pendant, and then some pearls that I got at the thrift store. But I did kind of make it. Um, so yeah, I always kind of like it's nice when you get a compliment about something you made, you know. I try to be a DIY queen. I fall a little bit short. Half the projects I've started just kind of like sit half done. I actually have a shirt that I'm midway through undoing to redo. Um, but I try to be a DIY queen, and one day I'll get there. One day. Um, for now, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm a DIY. I'm not a DIY peasant, but I'm not a DIY queen. I'm somewhere in there. DIY. I don't know, like a DIY. I can't figure out what the medieval equivalent of that would be. I'm trying. Um, but yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to read today. Also, Gloria, if you ever have, I'm DIY clergy. I love that. That actually works really well because I'm very good at encouraging other people to do their DIYs, and I'm not so great at mine. So, read into that what you will, I guess. But I'm going to claim that I'm DIY clergy. um, Also, Gloria, if you ever want me to read, if you have any short fiction of yours that I could read, I'd love to feature you here, especially once I get a little bit more of an audience rolling. But we'll see. It looks like I've got another viewer. Go ahead and introduce yourself if you want, other viewer. Um, I don't know. It's nice kind of hearing from everybody who's here, and I know there's a couple people who wanted to tune in to hear their own poems read, and I want to make sure everybody's actually here for those if that's possible. So, um, yeah. But I think I'm going to start reading, and I think I'm going to start with. I was looking for stuff to read today, and there's this poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Hi, Aurora, how are you? I'm so glad you're here, and I have a poem for you, so I'm going to start with Aurora's poem. Oh, do you want me to? Usually I'll also kind of like hype everybody. I'll put it in the chat so I'm glad you're doing well. I'll put people's links in the chat so that everybody can see um, their URLs if you want people to check out your blog. So if you want to throw your blog link into the chat, I'll repost it so that everybody on Twitch can see it too. All right. This poem is called Fractals of Gemstones, and it's by the lovely Aurora Writer. So, here we go. Fractals of Gemstones. I see that rose gold shine in the corner of your eyes, that flicker flicker flash that never seems to last. In the mirror, do you see it? There is gold in the brown of your iris, silver salt mixed with your tears. You are more than flesh or bone. There are fractals of gemstones within your soul. That's really beautiful, and it spoke to me a lot. Um, there's something so magical just about human beings that it taps into, and I really love that poem. And Aurora, I know you can't see it, but over on Twitch, Gloria just said that she loved it. So I'm gonna figure out. I think I have to pay for the more advanced version of Restream to get it, but there's a way that I can get like a little uh, running scroll of the chat over here on one of the sides of that. Sorry, that looks. I forgot what that would do with the perspective, but I can get a little running sidebar in the chat so that everybody can see the chat, and that might be worth doing. We shall see. And Gloria Aurora says thank you. So yeah, that was a very good first poem to read and a lovely way to start off today. So the next poem that I'm going to read is a sonnet by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Oh yeah, pop over to YouTube if you want. Um, and it looks like we've had another people join person another not another people another person. I swear I'm a writer. I'm good at words on the page. I'm not quite as good at them when I'm just speaking them directly. Um, but yeah, another person's here, and if you'd like to introduce yourself, I'd love that. Hey, awesome. All right, everybody's synchronized. It's lovely. All right. So this poem is called The Soul's Expression, and it's by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. With stammering lips and insufficient sound, I strive and struggle to deliver right, that music of my nature, day and night, with dream and thought and feeling interwound, and inly answering all the senses round, with octaves of a mystic depth and height, which step out grandly to the infinite from the dark edges of the sensual ground. This song of soul I struggle to outbear, through portals of the sense, sublime and whole, and utter all myself into the air. But if I did it, as the thunder roll breaks its own cloud, my flesh would perish there, before that dread apocalypse of soul. Um, and I just, I love this poem, and I love like that, I love the drama of it in that sense of if you let, I don't know, if you let the truth about your soul out, kind of like being terrified of what would happen. It's a little bit of a mood. So I don't know. I always feel funny calling like Victorian poets a mood, but at the same time, it's a mood, and that's that's the tea. I always feel I don't know. I feel a little goofy sometimes with slang because like on the one hand, I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I'm not like, I'm not middle aged, but on the other hand, I know the melodrama of like my flesh would perish there. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty young, but I'm also a substitute teacher, so I don't like to use slang at school because the kids will think I'm trying to be cool, and it's like, no, I'm actually cool technically, or I'm technically very uncool. I still haven't figured that out. So I'm gonna read this next poem. Um, this one is one of mine, um, and it doesn't have a title. I really need to get better at titling things. Um, but in the meantime, I'm gonna. It's. I mentioned this last time. It's kind of my weakness that I don't like to title things. Coming up with titles is very hard for me. But I need to start doing it, even if it's just like, even if I just do like the first part of the first line title thing. I need to start doing it because it's making it very hard for me to keep track of poetry now. So here we go. This one's it's a little simple, but I like it a lot. I asked my heart for a poem, and it told me to ask the sky. I asked the sky for a poem, and it told me to ask the trees. I asked the trees for a poem, and they told me to ask the wind. I asked the wind for a poem, and the wind whispered in my ear. The wind whispered a poem that only I could hear. Um, so yeah, there's that one. Um, and I liked that one, but yeah, that's about it. And it looks like I've got a new viewer or two. Please say hi, introduce yourselves, especially if you're one of my featured poets today. I'd really like it. Thank you. If you're one of my featured poets today, especially, Aurora is one of my featured poets today. Um, yes, the wind she whispers. I actually have another one. I actually have another one in the lineup talking about the wind a little bit because we're in a windy mood today. I guess it's been pretty windy lately, and I don't know. I love the wind. I love that feeling of storms almost happening. We're feeling a little windy today, a little stormy. That's just kind of the vibe, I guess. Um, so next, I'm going to read a short story. This story is by my friend Chip, also known on Tumblr as Glimshoe, and this is one of my favorite short stories. There's something really magical about it, um, and I just really I don't know. It just kind of plays on things that I really like in stories. I think you guys are gonna like it too. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna read that in a second. Um, Sorry, I got a little frazzled for a second. Had a brief little bit of trolls on Twitch, as Twitch is wont to have, um, but got it handled. So yeah, here's the story. Night after night, when its humans lay warm and quiet in their beds, the robot got up and left the house. It made no sound as it crept to the bottom of the garden, climbed over the fence, and dropped onto the wide, dusty road that led to the edge of town. No one saw it leaving the village each night after the moon rose, and no one saw it returning each morning when the sun was still below the horizon. No one, save for an old tomcat with one ragged ear, for he is the one who told me this tale. On the first night, or so said the cat, the moon was round and full, and the robot walked down a silvered street until it came to the edge of town. It walked past the last house, and then past the barley. It passed by the corn and the wheat and the sorghum and the rye, but when it came to the edge of the forest, it stopped, for that is where the road split in two. The moon rose high and the stars circled slowly overhead, but the robot stood still and staring, as if it were carved from silent stone and empty as a hollow barrel. Only when the stars had faded and the sky stained pink did it move, trotting silently back home and letting itself into the house like it had never been gone at all. Night after night, the robot made its silent trek on to the edge of the forest, until the moon had grown thin and fragile as a fingernail clipping. Only on the 14th night, when there was no moon at all and the night was as dark as it could be, did it find what it had been waiting for. "You are very persistent," said the devil by way of greeting. "I don't often come by these parts nowadays." "But you came." The robot did not sound surprised. "Aye, so I did." The devil gave a little shrug. "I know where I am wanted. What's a thing like you want from a guy like me, anyhow?" "I wish to do business with you," said the robot, matter-of-factly. "There is a bargain I would like to strike." The devil raised its eyebrows. "Oh?" it said, the corners of its mouth quirking into a little smile. "Surely you know the nature of my business, if you knew to find me here." The robot nodded. "Oh yes, I know who you are and what you deal in. I have come to plea on behalf of my human, who once signed your book as a young man. He is not yet old, but he has found prosperity and started a family, and reason to want his soul back." "That is not how it works," said the devil sourly. "A deal is a deal." "If you will not return it, I offer myself in his place," offered the robot, bowing its head. The devil laughed. "You have no soul to speak of," it said. "What could I possibly want with you?" The robot looked up sharply. "Why, I have a strong back and a quick mind, and I can work without tire for many—" "No, no, that's no good to me." The devil waved its hand impatiently. "I accept only one kind of currency, and you are quite penniless. Your human is mine and shall remain mine forever, if you can make no sweeter offer." The robot was silent for a moment, thinking. Perhaps, it said suddenly, sounding surprised with itself, perhaps if you gave me a soul, I could trade it back to you in exchange for my human's liberation. The devil made an odd choking sound. Give you a soul? Did I hear that right? It exclaimed. Did I hear that right? Yes, said the robot. Just a little one, that I might nurture and grow. Give me a soul of little value, and I will return it to you when it is as full as strong as that of my human, and you will have your payment. The devil thought about this. It had never considered the business of soul renovation, but it was a fascinating idea, and might prove very amusing. It made a mental note to rethink the potential uses of the funny machines that humans had made in their own image. Very well, it said at last. This is an interesting offer. I accept, on the condition that the soul you return to me is in pristine shape when I come to collect it. Live virtuously, for if I find that it is blemished in any way and you have been neglecting its care, I will take it back, and your humans as well. It smiled to itself, already giddy with the promise of reward. It is a deal, said the robot, and extended its hand. Good luck, said the devil, spitting a tiny shriveled soul onto its palm and clasping it against the robot's. You will need it. As the soul entered the metal hand, the robot cried out and stumbled back, shaking its arm like it was trying to dislodge a leech from its finger. What have you done to me? It wailed in a distorted digital voice. Precisely what you asked, the devil answered. A soul is a great burden, little machine. I hope you are up to the task of carrying it. Then the old tomcat, who had been crouching among the rye and watching these strange events unfold, felt every hair on its back stand up as the devil winked and blew a kiss at the place where he was hidden. He had been an orange cat at sunset, but the devil had frightened the color clean out of his fur, turning it white as snow from the tip of his tufted tail to the end of his little pink nose. Or so he told me. The end. I know, I love that story. I love the perfect folkloric tone to it and the way that it blends with this science fiction premise and this huge debate about what it means to have intelligence and what it means to have a soul, and it's all just kind of like wrapped up really neatly and beautifully in this story. And it's one of my favorite short stories that I have read in a very long time, and I hope you liked it. Um, Hello, I'm doing all right. How are you? I'm just over here reading some poetry. Um, the next poem I'm going to read is a poem by Keats. I've been thinking about Keats every so often. I'm glad you're well. Sometimes I'm not even that much of a Keats girl, but sometimes you just I don't know. I was thinking about Keats. Somebody brought up something with Keats, and I don't even know if it was super flattering to Keats, but I was thinking about him, and I got a longing to read La Belle Dame sans Merci, because I love the poem and I love the concept, and it's I don't know. I might trip over it once or twice because the language is deliberately pretty archaic, but we'll see. Just trying to push myself and get my reading skills a little bit better because I'm going to be doing a lot of this kind of reading when I am teaching. Um, so, La Belle Dame sans Merci. Ah, what can ail thee, wretched wight, alone and palely loitering? The sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. Ah, what can ail thee, wretched wight, so haggard and so woe-begone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheek a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long, for sideways would she lean and sing a fairy's song. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, in fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew. And sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she gazed and sighed deep, and there I shut her wild sad eyes, so kissed to sleep. And there we slumbered on the moss, and there I dreamed, ah woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamed on cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, Pale warriors, death pale were they all, who cried, La belle dame sans merci hath thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam, with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke, and found me here, on the cold hillside. And that is why I sojourn here, alone and palely loitering, through though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. I like that poem. I like the concept. I do a lot of stuff. I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't pick any more. I might at the end of the stream pull up one of my poems about being stolen away by the fairies, because I have several and they all kind of take a different tone. But it's just it's a concept I like working with a lot. So yeah. Um, this next one is another one about the wind. It's a short little one, but I like it. This one's one of mine. Just to make that clear, because I'm reading so many people's poems. I hear my name whispered in the waverings of the wind. I mistake the graceful arc of twigs for calligraphy. What's written there is too suffused with magic for me to read. Um, I'm reading. Hello. I'm reading a bunch of different stuff. So I'm reading poetry. Some of it's mine, some of it's my friends, and some of it is. Oh, this isn't about me. Never mind. Um, so this one is. I think I'm going to wait a little while longer to see if any of the other people whose work I'm reading show up, but we shall see. Um, so this poem is called Optimism. Tomorrow I won't burn the spinach before the eggs ever hit the pan, and I won't cry over the waste, and I won't cry over nameless sorrows. Tomorrow I won't stumble over yesterday's forgotten basket of laundry. Tomorrow I'll mix vinegar and water and drink to my health, and I'll be so happy, even sour will seem sweet. So yeah, that's a poem that I wrote a little while ago, and every so often I just kind of return back to it. Hmm. Thank you. Yeah, I, don't- I when I was writing that poem, I had a really honestly I just had a really bad day, and I just kind of needed to recover from that, I guess, and kind of turn that around. Um, I'm don't mind me. I'm just looking through a bunch of different stuff um, that I've written, trying to figure out what I'm gonna read. Um, hey guys, I appreciate over on Twitch. I appreciate that you guys are having your own conversation. I can't really follow it. Feel free to keep talking, but I'm not gonna interact with you guys too much if that's okay. Um, that's the best I got for you. All right. So this poem is. All right. Take care. So this poem is an old poem that I wrote quite a while ago. This one's called Flight, and I like. Again, obviously I wrote it. I'm probably gonna like it at least a little bit, but um, I actually remembered to title this one. Tonight I'm tripping over all the words I used to write, like I'm walking on ice in cheap boots. The only thing keeping me from breaking is anything is the training I got growing up. I learned how to fall without breaking, and that's a gift I'll need if I want to walk this path I'm on. Forget walking. I was hiking on ice yesterday, and there were geese flying in the icy rain, far above the ice of earth and the need for boots, migrating, not falling. I shouldn't be jealous of geese, but the truth is I yearn for magnetism, for certainty, for immunity to falling, and for a voice that carries without faltering. Um, so yeah, I wrote that about a year ago. I think I was hiking. It was a little more than a year ago. I was hiking in probably late March with some friends, and the trail was very icy. And a lot of my poems ended up happening with something very literal. Thank you. Um, I always kind of end up starting with something very literal and then just kind of spiraling out from there and seeing if I can make some meaning out of it. Um, and I think it works pretty well. Here's another poem about poetry, because you know that writers love writing about writing. Um, they all know poetry can never sustain you, but they warn you about it in the most prosaic ways. You don't hear them when they speak of things like salary. The world is never the thing that takes from you in the end. It's the poetry itself. It gives you a taste of magic. It lets you chase magic and never lets you conjure more than shadows. Um, and this one is a goofy little. I don't know if it was quite a. I don't know if it's quite a love poem. It's more of a crush poem maybe. Um, but I wrote this a little while ago. Um, and if I was gonna give it a title, I'd probably call it Garden maybe. But we'll see. It's just a cute little poem. But we'll see. They should name a botanical garden after you. It would be the kind of place where people learn about flowers and let the beauty heal their hearts and feed their love. Um, I don't know. I think botanical gardens are neat, and it just something about it suits this person. That's all I'm gonna say on that subject. Word conjuring is so fun and it's so good. It's a wonderful art, and I appreciate it a lot. Um, And rolling back to the DIY conversation that Gloria and I were having earlier, I just found one of my poems that's a little bit about DIY, and I think I'm going to read that one. Probably at 4:35, I'm going to start reading other people's poems. A lot of the people weren't, whose stuff I'm reading weren't sure if they were going to be able to show up, but I wanted to give them a little leeway just in case. Botanical gardens are just magical. There's just something about they're beautiful and they're a place where people can learn, and I've only really been to a couple. I went to one, I think in, oh my gosh, I can't remember the last time I went to a botanical garden. It was quite a while ago. But they just have such a magical energy, and I love the concept. And yeah, they seemed like a nice little thing to link with somebody special. This one doesn't have a title, but if it had a title, it would probably be knitting, maybe. Some days, the work of putting my heart back together is as simple as knitting. It's work, sure, but it is creative work that I can do, stitch by stitch, row by row, and it warms me. Some days it feels more like I am gluing broken petals back onto a dried rose, like I'm only making it worse. But as messy as it may feel, as mortifying as it may be to show, I have to heal. Um, so yeah. Hi, Olivia. Um, you're just in time. I've been procrastinating a little bit, reading a couple extra poems to make sure that I could get as many people as I was featuring today. I could get to. Oh, I just had one more person ask if I could read a poem today. All right. So I gotta switch back to the blog that I have. I save uh, everybody's poems that I'm reading as drafts on my side blog because then I just share them right after and I get to like feature the work a little bit extra. But that means that I have to get back into my side blog, and that's uh, that's taken me a second. All right, I'm gonna need my drafts. All right, and here's Olivia's poem. Olivia, if you could drop the link to your blog in the chat, I'll put it so that Twitch can see it too. Olivia has a really lovely blog, and I like a lot of her poems, and I was really excited to read this one. This one's called Vast. I wish I were a planet with frosted hair and frozen feet, volcanoes around my waist and magma at my core. I'd clothe myself in foliage, show too much desert to be decent, and my siblings trapped in orbit would be jealous of my seas. The stars will be my sisters, I'll tell my secrets to the moons. And when I grow old, in 10 million years, the shorelines will be my crow's feet. Or maybe I'll be a comet, or a sun, or Saturn's rings. I could even be an asteroid, or a crater no one sees. I'd be glad to be a nebula, or a single speck of dust. But I think I'll be a planet, and I think I will be lush. It's just such a gorgeous poem. I really like it. I love the whole energy of it, and it's very beautiful. And I appreciate you letting me share it today. So yeah, that's Olivia's poem, Vast. And I'm actually gonna pop the link in here. And then Olivia Gordon Price. So you can go check out Olivia's work if you want. And now that I've got that link up, I can share it. And I've got a surprise. I know there's something nice about it. It's I feel like poetry, people kind of forget. You scroll through and you kind of forget, but it really is a medium that's it's not just for being on the page. It's there's something beautiful about having it read out loud. Um, so yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. And I'm just gonna see if I can find. Um, I've got one more person who wanted a poem read, so I gotta find one of those. Hello, I'm glad you made it. How are you? Poetrex from Tumblr is here. Poet Rex, I believe. Um, and oh, that's a reminder. He's also in my Discord, and I'm gonna invite you guys to my Discord right now. Because I have a really nice writing and creative and just kind of community-oriented Discord. A couple people here are already on it, but I just want to, those of you guys who aren't on it yet, I'd love to get a chance to talk to you more. So here's the invite to the Discord. And also, while I'm looking, if you're having fun, I have a couple of places where you can possibly, if it's obviously if it's worth it to you, and if you've got it to spare right now. I want to see if I can again get the paid version of Restream so I can have different features like showing you guys the chat in both places where I stream. And I have a lot of different benefits if you do decide to subscribe to my Patreon or go on my Ko-fi. I've got chapbooks on both places. I've got a nice community kind of starting to form over there too. On my Patreon, you get videos. I'm actually a tiny bit behind on my Patreon videos right now. I'm gonna record one today when I get done with this, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of really lovely stuff on there, and I can't find. I think maybe this person who messaged me wanted me to has a writing side blog. So I might end up, depending on if they message me back or not, I might end up checking that out later or doing that on another stream. But yeah, I have a couple more poems to read. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the poems that I have promised to read today, and then I'm going to wrap it up because by then it will have been about an hour, and I have a certain amount of voice that is nice to listen to, and then it kind of gets a little crispy. All right. So this poem is by Jonas W. Poetry. It's called Sakura, and I'm just gonna pop a little link in here for you guys. Here we go. So this poem is called Sakura. A rabbit anchor snares 6 links about my leg. It's ready to sink, with any part or all of me caught trailing behind iron's leaden descent, beyond where lungs burst like eager cherry blossoms in spring. So I don't know. It's Jonas has a lot of gorgeous poems, but that one, when I was kind of scrolling through and looking for a poem to talk about today, I was kind of going for a little bit more of a sinking theme, and that didn't quite end up being what we did today. But it's a gorgeous poem. I gotta get a little better. Last time I picked like 3 poems from each blog and then kind of curated it into a theme, and I didn't quite do that this time. Again, things have been crazy, but we're doing all right. And then this next poem is, and I believe this is my last feature for today, as long as I don't get another message, is by A Brighter Spark. Alright. This poem doesn't have a title, but and A Brighter Spark is also on Instagram under the same name. But yeah. So here's this poem. Let me feel invisible and sneak around the halls. Let me be invincible when I'm within these walls. Don't force me to feel guilty or let my prayer be known. I just want to feel I'm safe and let this place be home. So yeah, I thought that poem was really beautiful. And I've got 2 more poems from me, and I'm going to wrap this up with my own poetry, and these ones kind of have a little bit more of that positive bent that I'm going for. So this is a shorter one. Yeah, I really like that one. I've got the link in the chat too if you want to check out that blog. But yeah. So this one. I won't ask you to unbreak me. No person can move back the clock's hand back and undo what time has touched. I won't ask you to mend me. That is work that only my hands can do. All I will ask of you is that you stay a while longer. And then this last one. Last time I read one of my favorite poems of all time is "Kindness" by Naomi Shihab Nye. I highly recommend you read it. This one I actually wrote before I had read her poem. It's also titled "Kindness," and it's got kind of a. I'm not going to say it has a. I mean, they're both about kindness, but this is one of the poems that I'm proudest of writing, honestly. So yeah, here is "Kindness," and then I think we're gonna wrap up for today. Yes, Naomi Shihab Nye is amazing, and everyone should read her. So here's my poem, also called Kindness. Be more cynical. The advice was given with kindness every time. Cynics, like everyone else, believe they see the world rightly. But there is no protection in cynicism, and I am no naive child who believes the world will greet me with kindness at every turn. I have seen goodness warped into cruelty, and I have seen betrayals you cannot fathom, and I have stood by suffering people, and I have comforted those who did not deserve my compassion. This does not matter. I will sow seeds of compassion until the day I die, because I know that these tiny gestures are infinite, that they carry power that I cannot fathom, and because I like to see people smile. Uh, so yeah, that's one of my favorite poems that I've written. It's very meaningful to me, and I was a little worried I'd get a little too emotional sharing it with you guys, but I pulled through all right. Um, so yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for spending this time with me today. Um, I thank you for the applause, Olivia. I don't know, I'm really enjoying doing these poetry readings. Next time it'll be thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Gloria, and thank you, Aurora. Um, I'm really loving doing these poetry readings. Next time I'll have it a little bit better rehearsed again. Um, this time I was a teeny bit off my game, but I think it worked out okay still. I think we did pretty good. And I'm so glad you guys were here. This has been really lovely. I don't know, when I started streaming, I kind of worried about I don't know, I was just a little worried about it. But it's been such a beautiful thing. I'm so glad you could catch the end too. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you, and I appreciate that you're part of my community. Um, I don't know, there's something really magical about just being able to talk to you guys and um, interact in this way. Because a lot of times posting poetry is, I don't know, it gets a little lonely. But I don't know, we're making a really beautiful thing here, and I'm really proud of it. Um, I've got some little links at the end. I mentioned my Patreon and my Ko-fi already, but I figured I'd drop them just in case. I've got a bunch of stuff on there, a bunch of chat books. If there's anybody here that didn't already follow me on Tumblr, I've got that there. And most importantly, honestly, I have my Discord invite link. I have a Discord where we talk about creativity, we talk about poetry, we also just talk a little bit about like staying sane in these times and just kind of checking in with each other and making sure everybody's doing all right, which I think is really important. I love all the people there, and it's becoming a really beautiful community, and I'm really proud of it. So if you want to check out my Discord, the invite's right here. It's good for 24 hours, but you can mosey on over there right now if you want. And yeah, I hope you'll hang out in my community. If I haven't read any of your work yet and you'd like me to, or if you have any friends whose work you think I should feature, just get in touch with me, and let me know. I really love, one of my favorite things about this is getting to kind of feature other people's work and get you guys in touch with each other. So it's been really great and really lovely. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and take care. I'm gonna turn off the stream and head out. I'll see you guys later.